Scooby-Doo, bee-bop-a-doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, bee-bop-a-doo.
On this episode of the History of the Chorus podcast with Curtis and Josh, we finish our look at the progressive metalcore band known as Between the Buried and Me. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show. Leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
I'm not the writer, it's you. For I'm drenched in air and silhouettes. We've been on the same page before, together, forever, together, as one. Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, sponsored by the Church of the Seventh Track, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis. With me, as always, is my co-host, Josh. Josh, party on.
Party on, Curtis.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, a lot. Been playing some Doom Eternal today, listening to some Between the Buried and Me.
Oh, what a combo. What a combo. What's your go-to set list when playing Doom?
Usually nothing, because Doom
Oh, okay.
has its own amazing soundtrack.
Okay. Well, I didn't know maybe if you were like, oh, I got to try something else or
No,
whatever, but
definitely listen to the Doom soundtrack, the Doom 2016 on Spotify soundtrack. Stupid good.
okay.
Um, I will say, when I used to play the original Prince of Persia, I would
Mhm.
always queue up Secrets of Silent Earth 3.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially
Okay.
like the first few levels with the first few tracks go really well together.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Never thought of that
But
before.
other than that specifically, I feel like if I'm listening to music while I'm playing a game, I usually just kind of throw on whatever I'm feeling.
Just need more background noise than anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see if the Doom soundtrack made your list of what you listened to this week here in just a moment.
It definitely did not. There's no
Ah,
eras,
so
but you
close.
know.
Oh, no, not that. I mean the what you listened to this week.
Oh,
Not your errors list. No, not that. Speaking of what you listened to this week, Josh, what'd you listen to? Great segue.
well,
Beautiful.
Curtis,
Chef's kiss.
I double dipped here, my friend.
Uh-oh. Okay. I mean, it's hard, bro. It's hard not to.
Yeah, I went
Okay.
back to colors because it's I told you last week, it's definitely the best part of the last block that we talked about.
Mhm.
But it's just such a nice cap on the end of Alaska also. And I think Colors might be my favorite album.
Okay. We're going for three here, people. Josh, myself, and Eric. We all three love colors.
It's a great album.
The album, not the yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's a terrific album, dude. I enjoy a good Silent Circus and Alaska and even some of Great Misdirect. And even I've really come to enjoy their debut self-titled. But Colors is to me that's the peak. And I know you mentioned it in the first episode when we got to Alaska. You felt like that was peak at that time, at least. Um, Peak Between the Buried and Me. But I really feel like Colors is where you get that nice cross of what they were building up to through Alaska, and what you eventually get with the progressive rock that they really turn to on later albums here. But yeah,
Agreed.
nice, Josh. Nice. Well, I bet you'll never guess what I double dipped on. Well, colors
Oh,
man.
we wore the same shirt.
Oh man. Yeah, it's just I mean, we just explained it. It's a great album. It's probably their best album. I think most fans would agree of this band that this is their best album. So yeah, what more can we really say about it?
What can you say?
Nothing. All right, moving on.
If you listen to one Between the Buried and Me album because of this episode, make it colors.
So let me ask you this, because, and again, it was a deal of, you didn't know at the time because you hadn't gone back and listened to it because we were only on the first episode of looking at Between the Buried and Me. But you called Alaska, you thought it was their most, what's the word? Accessible album. Do you stay with that, or do you want to change it to colors?
I would say probably colors.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, Alaska is not going to appeal to everybody. It is kind of a dark album, and I love
Pretty
it.
heavy.
But
Oh, it's a great one, man. That's a great one.
I think colors is probably the best intro point.
Yeah, I agree. Alrighty, well, that was exciting, wasn't it? we
We
showed up to the
both
party. I
picked
was
the
like,
same thing.
Yeah, how plain and boring. No, it's not, because colors is awesome. Alrighty, well, before we finish it up here, just want a little reminder at the end of this episode, we're going to have our quick year in review of the History of the Chorus podcast, and then we're going to get Josh's top, not 5, but 7 eras from bands. You got all 7, right, Josh?
I have all 7.
Okay. I don't trust you, but all right.
No honorable mentions. You didn't make the
Okay,
cut.
no,
That's it.
that's it. That's your problem. Do
That's
better
your
next
problem.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do better.
Come up with a better era. Alrighty, cool, man. Can't wait. Stick around for that. Be interesting to see if there's really any movement. We talked about it on the last couple of times. Really don't think Every Time I Die is ever going to be dethroned of number 1. But if there's a band out there in Josh's liking that would possibly give it a run, it's going to be Coheed. So we'll see. We'll see. Did they do enough? That's the thing. Did Claudio and crew do enough to unseed Every Time I Die? We're going to find out sooner or later, so make sure to stick
We're
around
gonna
for
find
that.
out.
Alrighty, Josh, let us finish our look at the band known as Between the Buried and Me.
Let
When we
us.
last,
Because, Curtis, it doesn't matter what band it is. By the time we start getting to episode 3 or 4, it's like, oh my God. You're in so deep, you're in too deep. You got to go the rest of the way, but
should I say you get kind of burnt out?
Kind of, and it almost doesn't matter who it is. Like, I would say even by the time we got done with Every Time I Die, it was like, okay, I am ready to put somebody
Close the
else
book
in
on
my
this one,
ears.
Yeah, I agree. And when I say burnout, I don't even mean that in like a bad way. It's just, we've been listening to this band for weeks. So
Right. When a band has a discography that's that long, you have to break it up into more than 2 weeks. It's like, ugh.
yeah.
Even though I
So-
would say this is still, if they were to put out another album, I would not be concerned about where it was going, I don't think.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, when we last left off in part 2, the band had released the Parallax EP and the Parallax 2 full-length album and its confusing concept story. This is just a little too much, man. Just a little too much.
Are they the same
Uh,
guy? Did one guy create the other one? Is are they
Schizophrenic. What's
both just
happening, man?
like two guys down the line from another guy that created them?
Right. Is there key work? What's happening there? Is there a fence too that they're maybe working on?
There's no
What's
key
going on
work.
there? Is a time traveler going to come into is it Cyrus? Anyway.
Man, how great was that when he came
It's
through at the end of Axis 2?
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Ah!
Ah! Beautiful. All right, between the buried and me. Anyway. Oh, I didn't even ask. Anything on Kohi Corner?
No, I don't have anything for Coheed Corner this week.
All right, moving on.
No
So,
Coheed
yeah.
news.
Parallax albums came out, and then they released a live album, Future Sequence, live at the Fidelatorium. After a year after that release, the band would announce the arrival of their next album via their social media pages, stating, quote, "It has begun!" Hashtag rock opera. That is 2015's Coma Ecliptic from Metal Blade Records, produced once again by the sixth member of Between the Buried and Me, Jamie King. This album, Josh, hit #1 on the Billboard 200's top rock albums and the top hard rock albums list. Thom Urich of AllMusic.com wrote in his review of the album, quote, "Integration and expansion have always been the trademarks of North Carolina's Between the Buried and Me. This lineup, which has been together since the early 2000s, has leaned ever more toward prog with each successive release since 2007's Colors, and seemingly culminated in the two-chapter Parallax releases in 2011 and 2012. These records utilize not only the math rock and technical death metal from the band's history, but also touched on jazz rock in a meld of sophisticated musical compositions. Coma Ecliptic is a concept album that follows the wanderings of an unidentified man stuck in a coma as he journeys through his past lives. He enters each world and is offered a choice: stay or move on to the next in search of something better, something more perfect. The MO may be ambitious, but this is easily the most musically accessible record Between the Buried and Me have ever released. There is a conscious attempt to gather all of their various identities and at least engage, if not embrace, pop in the process. With its melancholy, lilting medley, set opener Nodes is graced by a Wurlitzer piano and synth strings, framing Tommy Rogers' clean lead and harmony vocals, culminating in the Brian May-esque Queen lead guitar breaks from Paul Wagner and Dusty Waring, and it's not the only place where the classic rock guitarist or his band is referenced here. The cut segues into Coma Machine, another place where the classic rock band is referenced. Initially, at least, pop and prog come together before the tune explodes into a tech metal frenzy. Rogers' vocals alternate between clean and growling. They intersect with one another in loops, adding a multi-dimensional framework. Melodic guitar interludes are interspersed with fierce, naughty breakdowns and a thrumming bass line and pummeling drum attack, even though the hook never quite disappears. On Famine Wolf, a synth pulse greets angrily tuned guitars that pierce Rogers' sung growled vocals, and the track unravels with sheer heaviness. The first half of King Redeem Queen Serene is a lilting, mournful ballad before gnarly, mathy guitars claim the center amid stop and start rhythm sections, cadences before speeding toward an anthemic climax. Longer jams such as Turn on the Darkness and The Memory Palace, which meld proggy and melodic hard guitar rock, think Porcupine Tree meets Rush, are deeply satisfying yet require repeated listening to absorb everything they contain. But not everything works. The album finishes strong with the soaring prog metal in Option, Oblivion, and Life in Velvet. that commences as a ballad but spirals off into hard rock grandeur with killer guitar breaks. Given its musical diversity, Coma Ecliptic is a surprisingly cohesive record. While employing many tropes and influences, Between the Buried and Me come off sounding like no one but themselves. The album's accessibility adds another dimension to this band's already remarkable scope. Songs on this album include Node, The Coma Machine, Dim Ignition, Famine Wolf, King Redeem, Queen Serene, Turn on the Darkness, The Ectopic, Stroll, Rapid Calm, Memory Palace, Option Oblivion, and the finale, Life in Velvet. Let me start by saying this, Josh. I
Please.
feel like, please do. I feel like starting on this album and beyond, is it just me or does his uncleans sound different? Like almost like something like happened to him, like almost kind of like Sonny Moore-esque, but not like that bad. You know what I mean?
I mean,
But I couldn't
to
find anything
me,
like if something happened to him.
yeah, I mean, to me, everything sounds normal. It's just that I would say it sounds like he's doing it differently. Like, you know, we talk about how there's like a shift at a certain point where like a lot of these kind of vocals go from being about trying to strain your voice as much as possible to achieve these tones over to people being like actually vocally trained to do it in a way that isn't damaging to your throat. And
Right.
so I feel like this is probably around the time that a lot of that shift starts to happen.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but maybe he just changed his style a little bit, but it sounds the same to me style wise. The only difference is it just sounds like, I don't know, it doesn't sound as damaging.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like too, by the time, especially on Colors too, it feels like they didn't do a whole lot of production on his uncleans. It felt like they left it more like untouched and kind of hollow at times. I don't
Okay.
know. That's just me. Still a great album. I'm not hating on his uncleans now. I was just kind of wondering maybe if you had noticed kind of a change too, but I get what I didn't even think about what you're saying just a second ago too about maybe he's doing a deal of okay, I gotta think long term here, and trying to do it the right way instead of just winging it, or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing too on this album is there's more clean vocals than we're used to.
Yeah.
And I even saw something where Rogers had said, they decided to use more clean vocals because he felt that it better fit the tone of the songs being written. So I was like, okay, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But
I'll be honest. At first, my first listen through this one, I didn't really care for it a whole lot.
I
There were
was the
like,
same way. Yeah.
there were parts that still kind of stuck out to me that I liked, but for the most part, when you told me this album was going to be about dreams, I was like, okay, well, you didn't say nightmares. So after I heard the first couple tracks, I was like, okay, this is, I'm seeing kind of where this is going. But I do like that they make sure to get back to their consistent sound. Um, and I do like the consistent theme in this album. And by theme, I don't mean the dream thing. By theme, I mean musical theme.
Okay.
Because there's a few lines of piano from, like, I believe the first track that reprises in guitar and piano and sometimes vocally and like a few different places over the rest of the album. And so I do like that they're keeping that. That's like the
We're
tether
very
to
good
kind of
at that.
guide you back
Yeah.
to this path going through the middle of the album. So I did really like that. Second time through the album, I did enjoy this one more.
Same.
So it's just, it's different.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
it's not even, I wouldn't even say this is a good representation of the direction they're going to go because the next two albums are kind of their own thing. And then Colors 2 was them trying to get back to, the Colors 1 vibes. So, um, yeah, I don't think this kind of feels like a one off or a
That's what I was gonna
standalone.
say. Yeah.
What do you think about the album art?
It's interesting. I just now realized that he's got wires connected to his head
Oh,
as
okay,
I'm
I guess I
looking at
didn't
it
realize.
behind you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kind of like I don't know what they would call it, but like the temp probes or whatever you want to say. Those are I don't remember what they
Okay.
call them, but other than that, I mean it's interesting. Um I don't know. He's floating.
Yeah, it's weird.
Do you have a favorite album artwork from them?
I'm tempted to say Alaska just because I like how like just basic it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm, actually, I'm probably gonna say Alaska
Okay.
because I don't like the ones for the two after this. I'm just kind of like, eh. And
I
then
kind of like the
Colors, I'm
second
like, eh,
one.
okay,
Yeah, I kind of like the second one from Automata just because it's like I don't know, it just kind of looks kind of cool to me.
okay,
Um, but I always, even like back in the day when I first found this band, the self-titled always kind of was kind of interesting to me. The stage with the piano and the music stand.
yeah,
It's like, okay, okay, interesting, little simple, a little plain, you know.
yeah,
If I came in not knowing who this band was or what they were about, and I just like was trying to base it off of that album artwork, I would not expect what I'm gonna hear, especially right at the beginning of More of Myself to Kill. Like, just
right,
hitting you straight in the face with it. Maybe like, oh, okay, this is all right. Does not match the album artwork, but all right.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. Alaska was always a good one. That's a nostalgia to me, and Silent Circus too. I don't know if I have a an absolute favorite one though, but yeah. Is there a track on this one that really stands out to you, or is it just kind of here and there?
Not really. Let me go back here real quick.
Yeah,
See if I remember off the top of my head. Um, Famine Wolf. I do. I mean that. I really like that one.
yeah,
Coma Machine. But yeah, this is one that like it's like I can listen to it and be like, okay, this is decent through, but
but you're not like urging for it, like you know what? I'm gonna listen to Coma
yeah, if
Ecliptic
if I'm
today. Yeah,
throwing on a
right,
Between the Buried and Me album, I don't know if it's this one.
right. Yeah, I agree. Alrighty. Anything else, Josh, for Coma Ecliptic?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, for the next 2 years, the band would tour the world in support of their newest album, headlining the Coma Ecliptic World Tour, and eventually releasing Coma Ecliptic live, playing the album in its entirety, much like their previous albums. Once that tour had finished, the band would announce a tour to celebrate 10 years of their fan favorite album, Colors. And when the anniversary tour was complete, the band would announce their move from Metal Blade Records to Sumerian Records, with a brand new two-part album soon to follow. Before we get into those two albums, Josh, you made mention in the last episode when they went from Victory Records to Metal Blade Records. You kind of thought, okay, it's weird, not really expecting that one. How do you feel about their move to Sumerian Records?
Eh. Sumerian's a mixed bag over there, man. And especially
Yeah,
around this time. They had a lot of bands that I really liked and that I feel like kind of had some integrity. Like they covered Straight from the Path right out of the gate, like even on their very first album.
really? Okay.
Born of Osiris. but they also cover a lot of really terrible bands. So, like bands that are like known for, you know, kind of being douchebags. So,
Oh my gosh.
are you
Yeah,
looking at
I'm looking at their list right
Sumerians?
now. Yeah.
Is this their current or
Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's just current. I don't know what that means. I don't know, I guess that means
who they
um
got?
current. Let's see, you got After the Burial, Animals as Leaders, Bad Omens, Born of Osiris, Bones UK, Chon, Death Rocks, Dillinger Escape Plan, Faceless.
That's so crazy that Dillinger's was Sumerian now.
Yeah, I don't know. Meg Myers, Native Howl, Nita Strauss, Oceano? Yeah.
Oceano.
Oceano? Is that how you say it? Are you sure? Oceano?
Oceano.
Oceano. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's Oceano.
Okay. Sleeping with Sirens. Hey. Psych.
I think
Smashing.
Oceano's breaking up though.
Oh. Hmm. Smashing Pumpkins, Veil and Maya. Anyway. I've forgotten. Circus Survive put, I think, a couple of their later albums off on there. Oh, and From First to Last, I forgot about that. I think that's where they put out Dead Trees. Oh, and Stick to Your Guns.
Yep. Damn, dude, that is rough. I forgot about
What?
that. So like a month ago, um, Adam Warren, he's the vocalist for Oceano, he announced that they're breaking up. Like he's quitting, but it's like it's over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yeah. It
They're
says
kind of
through
like
2025.
yeah, and they're kind of an institution.
Toxic or what's going on?
I don't remember what the deal was. It was something to do with I think some stuff that happened at a show.
He was unaware.
I
Just
can't remember.
Oh, here you go. Following the announcement of a tour with America's Rejects tour with Attila and Dealer, the band was criticized for being part of the tour to pass. I don't know what that means. Past allegations of abuse and sexual misconduct against Attila and Dealer vocalist. What? I'm so
Oh,
confused.
that
What?
makes sense.
Wait, are they saying that those two vocalists or?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's just like a guilty by association, basically.
Mm.
Okay, okay, got it,
Yeah,
got it,
people
got it.
didn't like that they went out. They were going to go out on tour with them.
Okay, he's quitting the band to focus on a solo project. Claiming he was made a scapegoat by the controversy and that he was, quote, surrounded by complicit industry people, a metal scene riddled with cosplay, worship of band members, and less focus on artistic integrity.
It's not wrong.
Okay. Yeah.
Not
Anyway,
wrong. That's why,
back to
dude, we talked about this a little bit, but that's why I'm one of the few people who is like, when they started talking about bringing back Warp Tour, all these people are like,
boo.
oh yeah, like the best memories. I'm like, yeah, not for a lot of people because there was a lot of really fucked
Yeah,
up
there's a
stuff
lot of
going
things going
on,
on, man.
and everyone was just looking the other way. So, okay, continue.
Yeah. Anyway,
Before this
2018.
tangent goes any further, just continue.
Let's talk about 2018's Automata 1 from Sumerian Records. Once again, produced by Jamie King. This album was presented as a concept album telling the story revolving around the idea of being able to view the dreams of others. Ooh.
Ooh.
As frontman Tommy Rogers stated in an interview, exactly. In an interview with the PRP.com, quote, "What if dreams could be broadcast for the purpose of entertainment? Could you consume the innermost thoughts of another person on screen? If you could, what does that say about an attention-starved audience? More importantly, what would become of the dreamer?" Josh does not approve.
I don't care about these stupid concepts for the last couple albums. It's like, Curtis, this is, I know you like this era for them, but this is that Oh Sleeper stuff where it's like, but what if there was an evil corporation?
The corporation.
Whoa.
Musically, I like the music. I don't like the story. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
I really wasn't a big fan of the EP. Whatever that one was called. The Titan EP. I couldn't think of what it was called.
yeah.
Yeah. But I did like what was the one that came after that? Oh, Unbowed, Unbroken, or wow, whatever. You know, the Game of Thrones
Unbowed, Unbent,
insignia.
Unbroken?
Yeah, exactly.
The Martell tribute album.
Dadgummit, what is it called? Because I always get confused with that. Unbowed, Unbloodied, or something. Anyway, I don't know, whatever. The Game of Thrones thing. Um, yeah, I did like that one, but I wasn't a big fan of the EP. And yeah, I remember when we were talking about the story, it's like, what? Anyway,
Who
uh,
cares?
but don't worry, Josh, it gets better here, okay? When asked about the sound on their newest album, guitarist Paul Wagner stated, quote, "We never want to repeat ourselves. We're always trying to do something different. And this album fell right into that sort of pattern. Push ourselves into new places while retaining our basic sound. Musically, we go somewhere that's fun and challenging. We never know how it's going to turn out. These are uncharted waters for us. We've never written an entire piece and presented it in separate parts like this." Yeah, how do you feel about them separating instead
The
of just
two?
releasing it as one? Yeah.
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I kind of like it because I like the first one more than I like the second one.
Okay.
And if they had been together, I feel like it would have soured the back half of that album.
The Church of the Seven Track would not approve.
Mm-mm. No, no.
No, 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 no. Author Thom Urich of AllMusic.com wrote a brief review of the album, saying, quote, "The music here steps away some from the overt King Crimson, Pink Floyd, and Steven Wilson influences threaded throughout 2015's brilliant Coma Ecliptic, though they haven't disappeared. The intro to single Condemned to the Gallows spends its first minute on the Wilson-esque fingerpick guitar's rich, dark synth atmospherics. When the tune gains momentum, keyboards hover behind Blake Richardson's tom-tom heavy drums as guitarists Paul Wagner and Dusty Waring turn on the overamped churn and chug with angular riffing and soaring dual leads. Rogers uses his dirty vocals a lot on this album. Dirty. He shifts between them and his melodic clean singing seamlessly here. House Organ is a crushing 3-minute setup for Yellow Eyes, a showcase for Rogers' strange alternating dissonant, harmonic, and cinematic keyboards, and Dan Briggs' bass thrum, which drives the hell out of the tune's second half. The interplay between guitarists is twisted and intricate and perfectly underscores the emotional poignancy in the narrative, especially in its hooky refrain. Millions commences with a limpid, whimsical dreaminess in intro, verse, and medley. But its full turn on a dime heavier elements introduced by Richardson's kit add elements of distorter. They're carried out with relish by the guitarist and Briggs. Closer Blots is a true Between the Buried and Me journey through the prog metal labyrinth. Almost 11 minutes long, it serves as the closer here and as the hinge piece between volumes. There we go. It's a mini suite complete with maniac keyboard and bass flourishes, sitar and tabla effects, a wide dynamic range, and galloping guitars balanced by alternately syncopated and hard grooving drums. Its bridge sounds like a tribute to David Bowie's glam era. Automata 1 is excellent on its own. Its writing, production, and performances are all top flight. Additionally, it whets the appetite for anticipation of part 2. Songs on this album include Condemned to the Gallows, House Organ, Yellow Eyes, Millions, Gold Distance, and the finale, Blot. 2018's Automata 1, Josh. What do you think?
I mean, well, like I just said, I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed the other one.
I like it.
Um, One thing I really liked about this album, did you notice a lot of the breakdowns are like bass led?
Mhm.
Very
Which
sick.
I almost kind of
Very
think,
cool.
like, I look at the album artworks on these two, and I think kind of industrial. And I feel
Okay.
like with that bass, you kind of get an industrial type vibe.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. No, I like
Okay,
that.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, it was something that I feel like I've never really noticed them do, but this album, it was very clear. It was like, oh, okay, like
Which
that's
is yeah,
interesting.
which is interesting because if you ain't watching like live stuff in more like recent years, like the last 5 or so years, you'll see like Dan's got a lot of keyboard stuff around him too, and every once in a while, like he's not playing bass, like he's over there doing keyboard work. So he's stepping away from the bass at times, in like more newer stuff. So to see him get back to this and be the driving force on these songs with his bass is interesting.
Yeah.
So
So are they doing two keyboardists from time to time?
yeah, and I don't know if it's just like a deal where like maybe they're trying to like two different sounds kind of going on, or if he's doing like more like kind of like atmospheric like sound bites or something, and you know, Tommy's doing just more of like your regular keyboard piano deal. I don't know. But he does have some stuff back there, so I'm kind of like, what exactly are you doing with that?
Right.
I don't think we have like a arsonist get all the girls type thing going on or anything like that. But
Are any of their live things like live at the church? Like where you can like watch the whole thing or
I know, well, there's Colors Live. You can watch that. It's a DVD one, and it's
okay.
on YouTube. The one for Parallax 2, I think, is also, but well, I don't think it's the one that they released. I think it's because the one that I'm talking about is like in studio, and they have like extra um, string accompaniment, like couple here and there, like some horns and
Okay.
such. Um, I don't know about any of the others though, but it wouldn't surprise me with them because they seem to be into that kind of thing. So
Yeah. I was like I would like to see their setup and like how they
yeah,
play one of these live albums.
with colors, it's very basic. I would definitely go check out like the Parallax one because that's where you get more of seeing like Dan back there with his bass, but then you still got some keyboards up too.
Okay.
Um, so, but yeah, Colors Live is very basic. Everybody's got their spot and there's not much happening or whatever. But yeah,
Okay.
well, do you have anything else for numero uno?
Oh yeah. I like this whole
I didn't
album,
feel like
but
we
the
talked too
first
much
three
about it.
tracks, Contempt to the Gallows and House Organ, Yellow Eyes, those are
Set you
those
up,
really
man.
hit. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I
I agree.
mentioned, because you told me Yellow Eyes was supposed to be one of the songs in the story. So I had listened to that one already. But I think I talked about in the last episode
What?
about Yellow Eyes.
What about it?
Didn't you say that that was a part of like the story?
Oh, the Parallax stuff? No, no,
Yeah.
no, no,
No?
no.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I don't know
now
why.
you and I, right at the end of the last episode, you and I started listening to some stuff ahead of time just to hear like musically what we
Okay.
were going to get ourselves into. And I remember, I was trying to remember what songs it was. Maybe it was Yellow Eyes then,
It was
because,
the opening riff to Yellow Eyes.
okay. Because I was trying to remember, like, when I was listening to it, I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah, play that real quick. You'll know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember, I was trying to remember what the one was that, because there was one I came up with too. Maybe it was later in Yellow Eyes. I think that was it, maybe.
Yeah, it was later in Yellow Eyes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, 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 yeah. Because it's about like 5 minutes in or so. Because the
Yep.
bass, yeah, that's when you hear really the bass kind of lead it with the
Hmm.
hi-hat and the ghost notes kind of going. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to remember during the week when I got to these two albums, I was like, man, I remember we said something about it, and I know I could have just gone back and listened to the episode, but I never did, or at least that part. But I was like, man, which songs was it that we were talking about, man? And I couldn't remember for the life of me.
As quick as it kicked on, I was like, oh.
Ah, ah. He was all staying in the trailer.
Ah.
Ectoplasma. It was a ghost. Oh man. Yeah, it's a good setup for Dose. Speaking of Dose, Josh, just a few months later, after releasing Numero Uno, they're gonna release a Dose. Automata 2. Once again from Sumerian Records and produced by Jamie King. This time, Josh, bassist Dan Briggs would comment on the album saying, quote, Automata 2 sees us at our most dynamic and most creative. It feels like turning a page into a whole new terrain and us working all these years together to arrive at this point. It's quirky, adventurous, melodic, dark, and full of theatrics. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Thom Urich, once again, of AllMusic.com, wrote a review of the album stating, quote, Automata 2 is the conclusion of Between the Buried and Me's multi-volume concept recording, whose narrative revolves around a protagonist whose dreams are stolen and presented as entertainment via broadcast by a nefarious union between state and commerce. Because, Josh, everybody loves a good concept album about the man and the factories and the corporation, man. We love them. We love it all, man.
They're stealing our dreams, man.
Oh, man. I had a good dream last night. Now it's stolen.
That would be a fucking Fish song or something. It's called the
Oh,
Dream
jeez.
Stealing Machine.
Carry it on here. The first part appeared in March 2018 to almost exclusively positive reviews as writing, performance, and production were all top notch. From the jump, it's troubling that this 4-song, 31-minute sequel is even shorter than its predecessor, which clocked in at a shade over 35 minutes. Both recordings could easily have fit on a single disc. What's more, this set is even shorter than their 2011 EP, The Parallax Hypersleep Dialogues, making it more of a head scratcher as an album. Let's face it, Between the Buried and Me fans are used to long records. Despite this questionable packaging, the music matches the quality of its predecessor. Opener, the proverbial bellow, commences with the full band chugging in syncopated rhythms. Guitarist Paul Wagner and Dusty Waring turn on the overamped churn, with Tommy Rogers alternatively offering dirty and clean vocals, barking and plaintively singing the lyrics as a Deep Purple-esque organ, repetitive, hypnotic piano lines, and pointillistic guitars support him before erupting into cacophony near the halfway point via thundering tom-toms courtesy of Blake Richardson. Gent and prog go at one another, creating swirls of sonic color as the music balances the confusion and panic in the lyrics. After the momentary yet welcome distraction of Glide, complete with accordion, calliope, and piano, introduces in waltz time Voice of Trespass, titled for the name of the company. It steals and broadcasts dreams. Introduced by a full band gallop, they are joined by horns that give way to swinging gypsy jazz acoustic guitar a la Django Reinhardt, and acoustic piano, before assuming the punchy verses with Rogers screaming the lyrics. Throughout its 13-plus minute run, the tracks flirt with finger popping jazz, vintage Canterbury style, prog rock, death metal, and more. Those fat horns add unexpected and welcome timbral and textural qualities. Interestingly, the track's second half invests in meaty doom riffery from guitars, keyboards, and horns that unites the halves of Automata as a whole. The Grid is an epic closer. Elements of Kim Thayil's Soundgarden guitar sound intertwine with bass, drum, and keyboard tenets of prog amid clean and dirty vocals, distorted mellotron drones, and clattering drums. About two-thirds of the way through, a Led Zeppelin-esque acoustic guitar adorned by piano introduces a long narrative conclusion wherein Rogers' vocals offer echoes of David Bowie. Automata 2 flows effortlessly, creating a prismatic emotional palette where music and lyrics come together to define not only the narrative arc, but a kind of spiritual and philosophical exhaustion in the listening experience. Automata 2 can be listened to on its own, but it holds much greater power when taken together with its predecessor. It is easily the more musically adventurous of the two recordings, making it an indispensable part of Between the Buried and Me's provocative catalog. Songs on this album include The Proverbial Bellow, Glide, Voice of Trespass, and the finale, The Grid. I almost meant to. Well, no, never mind. Never mind. I take that back because it was going to be the opposite of what I was going to say. So would you, because you're not a fan of this one, at least
I
compared
wouldn't
to the other
say,
one.
yeah, I mean, it's fine. There's just nothing that jumps out that much to me on this album. There's some
Okay.
cool little things they do, like the accordion stuff. Um, there was something else that I heard on this album that I was like, oh, okay. Some weird instrument. Maybe did they have a banjo?
There was a banjo on some song. I don't remember if it was this album, but there was a
It
part I
was
was like,
this
wait,
or
is that a banjo?
Colors? It was this or Colors too.
Okay, and then maybe
But
it was this one. I didn't think it was Colors too. But
this one
yeah.
has that like real or no, maybe it's the other one. I can't remember. But one of these two has like a real southern part on it.
Well, we talked about on Great Misdirect, Desert of Song. Are you sure
Yeah,
you're
but
not?
no,
Okay.
this
Okay, I
is
just want to make
yeah.
sure. Okay. I
Yeah, this is
always
different.
I like to play Coheed and Cambria's The Ring in Return next to Proverbial Bellow and hear the phone ringing over and over and over. And then I listen to Tommy Rogers say, please pick up the phone. It's been ringing for years now. I'm so alone here.
Mm,
Yeah. No,
that's
I'm
a
okay
deep
with
cut.
yeah, thank you. I'm good with both of these albums. I think overall, if it becomes one of those we talked about before, not so much of, well, this album sucks, so it's my least favorite, whatever. I think I would have to put Coma Ecliptic and then the two automatas at the bottom of Between the Buried and Me's discography for me in terms of likability.
Okay.
But it's more of somebody's got to be last, right? These are
Right.
still good albums, but they just don't hit like the old stuff does. And we've talked about it time and time again. We are more of the beginning of the beginning of the discography people. You know,
Yeah.
it's very rare that we find stuff this late in the game in a band's discography that we both were like, yeah, this is still good, still hitting pretty good, man. And I think Between the Buried and Me does that, man. So
Right. And it's just I don't know, it's a preference. I feel like there's eras of these bands for a reason. If a band continues to go on after a certain point, we've talked about this. You have to, most of the time, you kind of have to adapt to survive beyond a certain point. And whatever a lot of these bands adapt into plays to a new group of fans. Most of the time, it does not play
Right.
to their old fans. Sometimes it does. Sometimes the crossover is there. Sometimes that undying love for a band causes you to forgive god awful album after god awful album based on some good stuff they did when you were like 16.
Sometimes though, it just flat out alienates you.
Yeah,
It feels like, man.
for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm looking at you, Devil Wears Prada. But anyway,
But I do like some of the stuff that they do on this. They go for like a kind of jazzy feel on what is it? Voice of
Voice of
Trespass.
Trespass, yeah.
There's a lot of horns.
The corporation.
So I think that's cool. I think that's cool.
And we talked about it in the last couple of episodes. They do these things like that, or some of these weird sound bites. We're going to talk about one of them in the next album. And you're kind of like, well, it's what expecting that, but it works for them, and they've made it their thing, and that's what makes them really stand out. Is they kind of keep you on your toes with that stuff while
Right.
still being true to who they are and kind of
Yeah.
blending that stuff together, which we love.
I
man.
literally never know what's gonna happen next in a between
And
the
that's
Buried
that's
and Me
what's
album.
great though, man, because at least when a new album comes out, you'll be like, okay, I mean, yeah, it's probably gonna sound like this, but like you're saying, it's like, who knows what's around the corner, man? What they gonna come up with? What crazy little part are they gonna come up with here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, same here, man. That's why I do like Between the Buried and Me so much. But I still was laughing from the other day. The Manland hidden track off of Silent Circus. That still gets me every once in a while, man. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
I'm a man. Oh man.
God.
All
So
right, that
good.
is yeah, so good, man. That is the double volume albums Automata 1 and Automata 2. The band would headline the entire 2018 Summer Slaughter Tour, being supported along the way by Born of Osiris, Veil of Maya, Era, The Agony Scene, and several others. How much are you willing to pay for that, Josh?
Well, I've seen two of those bands. It would have been cool to see the Agony Scene. I never got to see them.
Are
I
they
don't
not a
care
band
about the other
anymore?
one. Did you say the other one's Era?
Yeah, Era.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit. But I've seen Born of Osiris. And I've
Veil of
seen
Maya.
Veil of Maya. I saw Veil of Maya while they were touring Common Man's Collapse. That was pretty amazing. Seeing them during ID would like or id would have been pretty cool too, but during Common Man's Collapse, dude, I saw them with Winds of Plague when they were
Ooh,
touring Decimate the Week.
ooh.
So
Okay, okay. The Larry David meme. Pretty,
it was
pretty, pretty,
pretty
pretty
good.
good. The
One of my favorite
spring.
curbs is where John Hamm is following him around and like trying to like because he's gonna play a character that's like Larry in his
Oh,
life.
so he's trying to, yeah.
So he's just picking up on all his stuff. But yeah, where they're both sitting there together, just be like, pretty good.
I haven't seen that one. I'll
Get the
check that
fuck
one
out of
out.
here, John Hamm.
The spring 2020 tour would be planned in celebration of the band's 20-year existence as well as the 10-year anniversary of their album, The Great Misdirect. But Josh, I bet you'll never guess what happens in 2020.
They toured with no problems. They didn't wait
No
to release
mandates.
an album. They went ahead and released it. And
Life was
never
great.
once did someone wear a mask.
It's beautiful, man. And then we all woke up. Yeah, COVID happened.
And just
The
like
corporation
I
stole
don't
our
even need you to
dreams.
tell me, Curtis. Just like everybody else, they
Yep.
couldn't go on the road.
Yep.
But what
So
do we do,
that,
Curtis? What do we do with all this time on our hands?
well,
Well, I'll tell you what we do, Curtis. And it's 2021's Colors 2.
I was almost there, but all right. From Sumerian Records. Who produced the album, Josh?
Sumerian?
Jamie
Sumerian
King.
Johnny.
Uh,
Johnny the Sumerian.
When deciding on what to write for their next album, vocalist Tommy Rogers explained, quote, especially with 2020, we really wanted to give it all we could and show the world we're still here. That's part of the reason we named it Colors 2. We were in a similar spot when we did the first Colors. Back then, we had just gotten done with Ozfest. We were wondering, where do we belong in this music scene? We still struggle with that. At both of these moments in our career, we decided to just be ourselves and write the best album we can. We came out guns blazing, and I feel like it's some of our most creative material in a long time. I don't know why you even asked the question though of like where do we belong in this music scene? I mean, you're you. You're unique. You know? Do you really want to belong in a scene?
There was some kind of like weird panic, dude, after like nobody was able to tour and stuff, and everybody's like holding on to these albums, where it seemed like a lot of these bands, like just listening to like interviews with people during that time and just different stuff. It's like it seems like a lot of these bands were really concerned about just being forgotten about. And it's really weird because
Yeah, I still
I
have
don't
the
know.
albums.
They acted like they were like. I mean, I guess again in a way because movies, I feel like a movie theater has never truly recovered. You know, and
Right.
there's a lot of reasons for that. You know, you're gonna get, is somebody gonna come in and try to off you in a movie theater? You know, is there, just like I think a lot of people too were like there's a lot of activities that you just weren't doing for a couple years, and so not a lot of people were just jumping right back on it. But people are still gonna go to concerts. Like, what do
Well,
you
and I
think
think
people
too
are?
with
Well, and what do you think people are doing during this time when they're just at home? They're just listening to your music. So, like, how any band thought they were going to become
right.
irrelevant after this was all over was just like, no, if anything, like, you're going to be more popular than ever because people are so rabid to get back out there, you know?
Right. I think it was a deal too of just like not knowing what the future held. Are we ever going to be able to play concerts again? Am I even going to be able to keep my job because of that, or whatever?
Right.
So,
I think, well, if ever seems like a dramatic thought, but the time,
but at the time
the
though, dude,
time
nobody knew what
crunch
was going
wise,
on.
I get because a
Yeah.
band can't have like a label can't have a band signed to them
And just
for
sitting
10
there.
years if this thing goes prolonged,
Right. Yeah.
that's not doing anything. That's not like bringing any money for them. But also, my argument with that was always, okay, well, let's get to writing, folks. Some of you guys are sitting
This is
on
a great
albums, and I
time.
realize you want to tour them, but this is the time to release it and stay relevant.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that's
Like,
why I
yeah,
think,
you make a lot of money off concerts, but you can still make a sizable amount of money on merch and albums.
oh yeah, easily, man. Plus you get people more rabid about it, and then when finally the mandates do come up, we can tour this new album,
Right.
you know. So Guitarist Paul Wagner would also add, quote, Colors was very much our attempt at a do or die statement. We had to establish our identity and be who we really wanted to be in order to have a career. This time around, our industry was shut down for a year. Once tours were canceled due to the pandemic, we were like, we've got to write a record and it's got to be good. We had to do something next level. When discussing the concept of the sequel album, Rogers stated, quote, On the original, I was analyzing myself and analyzing humanity. With last year, COVID, I was in a perfect position to do that. I wrote lyrics in the same way, but they felt new. It was more of a real world concept by virtue of making a continuation. Music's purpose is to help. That's a big theme of this album. Once our songs are done, they belong to our listeners. Maybe this will help them move forward creatively or in life. Did you get that feel, Josh? Did you get the
Yeah.
feel?
Oh, I felt it.
Did you feel it? Do you feel it, Josh? Kerrang.com writer James Hickey wrote a review on the album stating, quote, The original Colors was a pivotal release for Between the Buried and Me. The 2007 album was a sprawling piece of conceptual storytelling made by a band throwing caution to the wind in every genre at the listener. At the time, the North Carolinians described their creation as new wave folk grunge, which went some way to encapsulating an epic fever dream of a mix of styles that has much to do with the American jam band tradition of acts like Phish as it did metal. It was an underground masterpiece that thrills to this day. To return to that name all these years later, then, is a slightly risky business. I agree. Sequels are, after all, synonymous with raised expectations, ultimately dashed of retreading old ground and diminished returns. It's a surprising relief that Colors 2 is a reprise that's full of positives. First and foremost, deepening the listener's relationship with its predecessor, arriving filled with musical and lyrical callbacks that provide connective tissue between two albums separated by 14 years and 5 full-length releases. If you're fan enough to spot them, that is. But even if you're not able to identify the callbacks that make, say, the opening of The Double Helix of Extinction particularly cool, then you're still left with an exquisite union of the angry, the dubby, and the trippy, which leads to the album's other important accomplishment. In bringing things full circle in the band's story from the cinematic scope of Stare into the Abyss to the electronica and elaborate arrangements of Turbulent, Between the Buried and Me prove they're still as creatively uninhibited as they were when they first showed the world that they were truly capable of. Unsurprisingly, at 80 minutes long, and with the exhaustive closing track Human as Hell, Another One with Love, taking up 15 of those, it's entirely too much music to wrestle with on cursory listens, and requires serious dedication, though that's no bad thing in an age when streaming has fundamentally altered the attention span. As a result, the uninitiated are likely to be overwhelmed by such a glut of material, particularly when it takes so many stylistic detours and about turns. It's worth the endeavor, though, because there's some sublime music here, deep and diverse, which has plenty to offer nerds and newbies alike. Songs on this album include Monochrome, The Double Helix of Extinction, Revolution in Limbo, Fix the Error, Never Seen Future Shock, Stare into the Abyss, Prehistory, Bad Habits, The Future is Behind Us, Turbulent, Sfumato, and the finale, Human is Hell, Another One with Love. Are you fan enough, Josh, to have heard any callbacks or references to Colors 1?
I mean, not that I noticed right off.
Okay. Okay. Let
I
me give you
heard
some.
you say the beginning of Double Helix, but
Yes. So there's one. Oh shoot, what did I do with that? Oh, okay. So apparently the this is from Reddit, a couple people, and I kind of heard it too. It's not exact, but some people were saying the first two riffs from Double Helix of Extinction is a take on the first two riffs from Decade of Statues. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Some of the ones that I had heard on my own though was from Never Seen, Future Shock, the lyrics "Ants on our back, they have dropped from the sky." That's a callback to "Ants of the Sky." Um, Revolution and Limbo. About I think it's at least halfway through, kind of close to the end. It's more faint than what you would hear on "Ants of the Sky" or even "Chevanel Cut a Flip," but it's kind of a callback to like that bar scene that you hear at the end of both those songs.
Okay.
Um, Bad Habits has the lyrics "Sleep on, fly on, in our minds we can fly," which is also an Ants of the Sky reference.
Okay.
And then the one that I think probably one of the first ones that I was like, oh shoot, is lyrics in "Future is Behind Us" and "Turbulent." "Kill the rider, open the closed off circle" is a reference to lyrics in "White Walls." So that's just a few, but there's somebody made like a huge document list of like a bunch of different like musical and lyrical callbacks, and it's pretty crazy. But
Okay.
you and I,
Yeah, I mean there
we
has to
both love
be.
it, man, when you do that, you
Yeah,
know.
there
And yes,
has
it's
to be.
when you're gonna do that, colors too, you have to, right? You can't just like, oh, it's something totally different. It's got to connect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was looking for essentially like a part two, you know?
right, yeah. What do you think, Josh, of Colors 2?
I really like it. I mean all that stuff just makes me like it more, but I told you Future is Behind Us and Human as Hell are probably my two favorite tracks. I do really like Double Helix. Fix the Error. I think it's a really good album overall. I like it as much as Colors 1? Probably not, but
Same.
it
Yeah, same
is a
here.
really good part 2. Sometimes those part 2 albums, but this is a good one.
Hmm. Do they dare make a part three, Josh?
That'd be cool.
Okay, okay. Maybe their next album, Colors 3.
I'd
That'd
be
be
into
cool.
that. Let's
I'd be
not
into
wait
that
too
too.
long. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we mentioned in the last when we were talking about the last album, but the whole deal of like the bar scene, you know, in "Ants of the Sky," "Shovel Cut a Flip," some of the crazy, you know, like the piano beginning to Fossils Genera, the dun 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 dun, dun, things like that. Never did I expect when I first listened to this album to hear classic cartoon sound effects like we would hear in the middle of Prehistory. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Prehistory. Oh,
Yeah, in the song Prehistory.
where are they in the song? I
Yeah,
feel like
it's not, I mean the song's not very long. Um, let's see here. Yeah, because the song's only like 3 minutes long. Let's see. Go to about minute 20.
Prehistory already sounds like a track that like would be in like a Nintendo game or something.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
It's like so
Yeah,
cartoony.
right. But I remember when I first heard it, I was like we're really emptying the bag here on these sound effects, aren't we? But it's
It's like a slipping on banana peel.
right. But I like it, man. If it's them, you
Oh
know,
my
it's
god,
still
yeah.
them. But yeah. And then I was gonna ask you too. I always kind of wonder, but then I finally realized in Never See Future Shock, I think when you get just before the chorus, you can tell they're using like Phil Collins electric drum type stuff.
Okay.
It's like, oh no, not the electric drums.
I
And then I
think I
started,
found I think I just found another callback
All right, let's hear it.
that is not, it's not to Colors though.
Okay. Which song?
It's the opening riff from Yellow Eyes and the opening riff from Human as Hell.
Okay, let's hear
They're
it.
not the same, but they are like reminiscent of each other.
Okay.
See what
Yeah,
I'm
it's a little,
saying?
a little,
It
yeah,
just
a
kind of
little
has like the
connected.
same feel.
Okay. There was oh man, let's see if I can find that real quick. Somebody had made reference lyrically to a song on Colors 2 to where'd that go? Um oh, here we go. Lyrics in here. I don't know what that one's from though. I guess there's some lyrics on Colors 2 that go, "Will we be forced to sing with the fear?" And apparently it's a reference to Desert of Songs line, "Here we sing, sing with the fear." It's like, okay.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool. I mean, it's like if you can even extend it even further
Right.
into, more albums, that's even cooler. Uh,
You know what
yeah.
I need? I need a reference to
Counting Crows?
no, not in this. In Coheed's newer albums, the Vaxis stuff, I
Okay.
need a reference
Oh boy.
to Claudio Kilgannon or the Crowing or something other than the cataclysmic event that caused them to break away from the fence.
Okay. That'd be cool though, man. If you can really tie it back to like all that specifically,
Yes, yes.
that'd be pretty sick. Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah,
run
that'd be
that
pretty
thread
sick, man.
all the way through.
I agree, man. I agree. Well, I think that was all that I had on this one. And that's the big cross references and everything. That's a big component of this album, why I really like it. Musically, they're still there. It feels like they're by this point, especially compared to, Colors One, where I said that was more of your crossing point of your technical metal, what we're doing previously on albums like Silent Circus and Alaska, to where we're going to in the future of like the prog metal and everything. That was the crossing point. This feels more kind of heavily leaned into the prog, but still trying to get back to, like you were saying earlier, some of the things that made Colors One successful. But Colors One can never be outdone, in my opinion. It's
Right.
Colors Two is good, but it's not. It's no Colors One.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Alrighty, Josh. You got anything else for Colors Ado?
I think that's it.
All right, man. Well, unfortunately, now we got to get to some interesting stuff here, Josh, before
Some
we close out
business.
the. Yeah. Success from the new album saw the band headline tours to promote their new material, and in 2023, the band was preparing to tour in honor of the 10-year anniversary of their album, The Parallax 2 Future Sequences, which would showcase the band playing the album in its entirety. But, Josh, fans would notice a change in lineup during these shows as guitarist Dusty Waring would be left behind while he was dealing with allegations of sexual misconduct. Here we go again.
Boo!
Whoa, keep it in your
Boo!
pants, bro.
Boo this man.
Dusty would rejoin the band later that fall for a live set at a festival, but would be missing once again on their next tour, the Colors Experience Tour. Now, Josh, here's where things get a little hairy.
Which one is he behind you?
He is, oh, I gotta look. He's, right here in the middle. That guy, the
Okay.
shortest one. Yeah. He's the rhythm guitarist. Yeah. Let's see. On April 8th, 2024, Dusty would post a letter sent to the band's lawyer onto his social media account stating
Oh god.
that the band had
Don't do that.
previously asked
Don't do
him.
that.
Yeah, I know, right? The band had previously asked him to leave the group during a meeting on January 4th, 2024. Now, Josh, this later letter stated that the reasoning was not tied to the previous allegations, as according to his lawyer, they had been proven false, and instead the allegations are suggested to be part of an extortion plot against Waring. Dun dun dun. The letter stated that the suggestions of Waring's performance on stage was unsatisfactory, as well as his behavior regarding the band, family of the band, and the band's on tour crew was not
I thought
worthy reasoning to remove Waring from the band. What'd you
thought
say?
I thought you were about to say his unsatisfactory performance on stage and in the bedroom resulted in like, oh
Ah!
no, it's
Yeah,
between
we
Barry
heard,
and
we,
me,
we heard
Curtis.
about it. That's true. You know how many times, like, and this is what I really like about Blake's drumming. How many times, instead of going like on a roll through the kit from the snares to the toms, he'll go backwards from tom, 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 tom to snare. Oh, that's a sick, dude. That's just sickening. Oh, it's so good, man.
When you're listening
Uh,
to Foamborn, do you imagine that bubbles are just falling from the ceiling?
yes, and they're lightly kissing me on the forehead.
There's just bubbles falling everywhere, like when
Oh,
you see this live.
oh.
Hey!
You get the bubble machines just going.
Yeah. Well, and
Oh, you
then
gotta put
when
that
it
in the
gets
budget, bro.
heavy at the end, then they turn the fans on and all the bubbles just like flow by.
Now back to serious matters. Oring's lawyer also stated the band wished for his removal so they could receive a higher salary. Oh God,
Oh,
Josh.
damn.
We are
It
at a point
started,
of no
Curtis.
return,
It
bro.
has started. They're gonna eat each
Yeah.
other now.
Yeah. No colors three for us, apparently.
First sign of weakness, we're gonna eat each other.
I mean, silver lining, at least we were able to get colors two out before all this stuff happened. So,
Yeah.
you know. But
Wow.
anyway, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now, man. We're kind of at a stalemate. But I really feel like with what he did of like posting all that stuff and the accusations against the band now, it's kind of like, oh shoot, we hit that point and there's no return from this. Like,
Yeah.
how do we even like come to a point where we're like, all right, shake hands and hug each other, or whatever?
Time
Probably
to
not.
focus on Giles.
Yeah. So that's where we're gonna leave it. Happy times, right, Josh?
Yep.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Josh, on the band known as Between the Buried and Me.
Oh, wish I didn't know that stuff at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
It's part of the history. I gotta tell you, I'm contractually obligated to tell you.
I really like this band overall. I would say that
I really
the
like this band until that last part.
the early albums are some of my favorite, I think. Colors are my favorite overall, and I feel like that's the most accessible. I feel like Colors 2 was a great um, sequel to
Sequel.
that. And, in between, there's never a point where I'm like, okay, this band's about done. But there are points that just like don't hit for me as well. And it's because they are so experimental
Right.
all the time, in every album, on every track. So some stuff is bound to not hit. I'm glad that a majority of this stuff hits for me because for a lot of people, I think a majority of it would not hit for them. So
Turn off. Like, what is all this crazy noise in my ear right now? Yeah. Okay. Well, that is Between the Buried and Me. Go check them out. Colors, right? That's what we settle on. Most accessible
yep,
colors.
Colors.
Okay. Alrighty, Josh. Every year. Well, this is the second time we're done this.
Every year. Hey, still every year, Curtis.
Still every year, Josh.
Don't
We like to
diminish it.
do
It's every year.
we like to do a year in review on this very podcast right here. Are you mad?
Are you mad?
Oh man. Well, in
Uh,
2024, Josh, we took a look at a total of 23 bands. I know you remember every single one of these bands, Josh.
oh yeah, of course.
It's to be honest with you, the first one that we talked about was Maylene. That feels like 2 years ago, to be honest with you, but I don't know. But the bands that we covered in 2024 are as such: Maylene and the Sons of Disaster, My Chemical Romance, Brand New, Paramore, From First to Last, Flesh God, oh, excuse me, Flesh God Apocalypse, As Cities Burn, The Ghost Inside, Protest the Hero, Seven Angels, Seven Plagues, Isles and Glaciers, Drugs, The End, S.O. Karis, Here I Come Falling, Arma and Jealous, Martyr AD, Prayer for Cleansing, Chasing Victory, Coheed Cambria, Abigail Williams, Bury Your Dead, and Between the Buried and Me. And if you would notice in the very middle of all those bands, there were some not so well known bands. Well, that's because, Josh, we were a little busy focusing on season two of HBO's House of the Dragon and season two of Throne of the Dragon podcast. Alrighty, Josh.
I remember I
Uh,
was there.
no, you were on
Well,
Sandal's
I was there,
Dragonstone.
but I
Yeah.
wasn't. I was there, but I wasn't.
Uh, do you have, I mean, I know it's kind of on the spot, you're not really prepared for this, but out of those 23 bands, was there one that really stuck out to you or one that you're like, oh, that was probably my favorite band that we covered this year or
Just
Coheed?
band, not eras or
No,
anything.
no,
Just
no, we're
band.
not there yet. We're not yet. Just from what we've talked about this year, was there one that really stood out to you or
Um, I would say Kohi was probably my favorite one to do.
shocking?
We got to have the lore
Ugh.
episode and everything too, so that was a fun one. You don't really often get that. I guess we could have done something like that with the O Sleeper episode, but it's kind of rare that
Yeah.
we're able to put that much, into.
Right, yeah.
Again, I guess, we could have in the MCR episode, we could have talked about all the Killjoy stuff maybe, but there's not a band
It's not
with as
enough, yeah, as with
much
Coheed.
as
Yeah.
Coheed. So,
Yeah, I agree.
and then let me see here real quick if they're um brand new was the one that gave me the most
Ugh.
yeah, just ew
Ew.
out of all the episodes. Um I think I came to a realization about Flesh God Apocalypse
Uh-oh.
because I wanted to put them on my list and I didn't because I was like, they don't really have an era that I'm like just stupid all into,
Right.
I think I talked about in the episode, Labyrinth is it's good, but it's
But
not
it's like,
like
hmm,
amazing.
right.
King is like good, but it's also not like, blow the doors off. Agony is the only album that is just like, holy shit, what am
Oh,
I listening to the entire album? Um,
did you ever listen to their
so
newest one?
like they're a great band, but I could not add them to this list.
Right.
No, I haven't listened to their newest one.
Yeah,
No.
that's one that we need to go back and listen to and give a review on that. There's a couple
Yeah.
of bands besides Coheed's new one coming up that have put out new ones that we need to go back and review. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anybody else?
Um, I probably said, "Oh my God," or "You've got to be kidding me" the most times in like drugs or maybe Isles and Glaciers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They speak for themselves.
They speak for themselves.
Need we say more? Well,
They know they're garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Alrighty, Josh, we put it off long enough here. It's time for Josh's top 7 eras of bands we've discussed so far, from Norma Jean all the way through Between the Buried and Me. Here's what your list looked like last year, Josh, where we had 5 bands plus an honorable mention. The 5 bands were number 1, Every Time I Die, beginning to end, basically. Norma Jean from Bless the Martyr through Wrongdoers at number 2. Number 3 was AFI Black Sails through Sing the Sorrow. Number 4 was Under Oath from They're Only Chasing Safety through Disambiguation. Number 5 was The Devil Wears Prada from Roots Above, Branches Below through the Space EP. And an honorable mention for Zayo from Funeral through Awake. Alrighty, Josh. I'm going to start off with number 7.
Yes, but before I do, I want to just kind of quantify. When we're talking about
Yes,
eras, we are talking
I forgot to
about
ask that.
the consistent albums back to back, the best albums from a band, the best run of albums from a band. So they got to be back to back. And then also, obviously this list is not a ever list. This is a of the bands that we have
changing,
covered so far.
Right.
So, keep that in mind. The only bands on this list are bands that we have covered so far. So
Keep that in mind.
this is a changing list year to year. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's your opinion,
Right.
People aren't going to agree with it. That's their problem.
My opinion on facts.
Exactly.
Okay.
The
You want me to
facts and
start with
opinions are
7 or
facts.
you want me to start
Yeah.
with 1?
What do you think?
We can do 7.
Okay.
So number 7, this one was one that fell for me.
Okay.
Number 7 was Norma Jean's run of Bless the Martyr through Wrongdoers. And while I still love those albums, I just feel like with some of the ones we've added, like a couple people were going to get moved around,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
at number 6, I had Between the Buried and Me's run of Silent Circus through Colors.
Okay,
So-
they made the list.
They did make the list.
Okay.
Again, with the 2 extra spots added, that did, create a little bit of room. But if we'd still been top 5, Between the Buried and Me and Norma Jean would not have made the cut. They would have made the
Okay.
honorable mentions list. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 5, Curtis, was my honorable mention from last year.
There you go.
Zayo's run of Funeral, but I extended it through Live from the Church.
Okay. Oh, he's even doing the live album. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Crimson Corridor didn't make it on there last time.
Right. Well,
but
even
I have listened to it.
even Well-Intentioned Virus didn't make it apparently.
Yeah, but I
'Cause,
have
yeah.
listened to both those a lot more. I feel like especially Crimson Corridor and Live from the Church was just amazing. So I had to go all the way through.
We're like timeline wise, we should be getting a new album from them pretty soon.
Ugh.
Oh, oh, God.
Don't tease. Don't
I
tease.
can't wait. I can't wait.
Number 4, Curtis. Under Oath's Safety Through Disambiguation.
Okay. Okay. Just
I don't
keeping it same.
remember. I guess did they fall a spot?
Number 4. Nope, they stayed the same.
Okay.
Yeah, they stayed the same.
Then number 3 was AFI's Black Sails through Sing the Sorrow.
Okay. Okay.
Number 2, Curtis, was a newcomer.
Oh. Okay.
Coheed and Cambria's Second Stage Turbine Blade through No World for Tomorrow. And I was tempted to put through Year of the Black Rainbow, but it's it's hard to put that on there since it's the prologue to the whole thing, you know?
Right.
Because it doesn't play if you're going from No World for Tomorrow to Year of the Black Rainbow, it's a totally different thing. So I didn't include that, even though it is a part of the whole thing. I'll tell you what, if you start with Year of the Black Rainbow and you listen to it all the way, like you listen to Year of the Black Rainbow, then second stage, all the way for No World for Tomorrow, then I would include it in this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I
But
agree. But what could be
and
number
then
one, I wonder?
number one, Curtis is our reigning champion. Every time I die, beginning to
Okay.
end, my friend, start to
Okay.
finish.
Yeah. Well,
Push play, and 8 hours later, you're gonna
is it 8 hours?
be.
A whole workday?
I don't know how long it is, but their
Ugh.
discography's got to be at least 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be close to it. Yeah, I think you gave it away in the last episode though when you made mention of, oh man, I've been on a every time I die kick again. Like, oh well then you just gave it away, bro.
I don't think I said I've been on it every time I
Yeah.
die kick.
Yeah, you said recently you were, not like last week you were. I'm saying
Oh,
last
okay.
episode you had said, yeah, recently I had gone through the collection again or the discography again. And I think you said something about like I got done with it. I was like, huh, I could listen to that again. Just like, dadgummit. Well, okay. Looks like one band fell off the face of the earth from your list last year, and that was the Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, because
Roots,
looking at the
Roots
list, dude,
Above,
for the
Through
life of
Space.
me, I couldn't remember why I even put them on there.
To be honest with you, I think it was probably a deal of that was the last band we did that year. So it was probably more of, well, it was the most recent thing you listened to,
Is
so you're probably
fresh.
hyped on it,
Yeah.
So next year it'll be kind of interesting to see if Between the
Between the
Bear and
bear
Me
and me.
stays on there, or was it just a deal of, it was just kind of fresh on my mind.
Well, Curtis, our
Um,
next band is gonna have to take somebody's spot here,
Somebody's
so
well, and fortunately, two
somebody's
more
gonna
spots are going to
fall.
be added.
Oh, whew,
So
thank God.
yeah, it'll be the top
You
nine
guys are safe
bands.
for now. You guys are safe.
Yeah. But yeah, looks like Devil Wears Prada was the only one that dropped out totally. You had Between the Buried and Me and Zayo join the list. Coheed and Cambria made a debut at number two, while Norma Jean fell all the way back to number seven. Surprisingly, barely hanging on to the final spot on the list. So, yeah. Alrighty, Josh. Well, 2024 for History of the Course podcast is it's done. That's it.
It's in the books.
It's over. Close the door. Goodbye now. You got anything
Well,
else? Anything?
ah,
Any final thoughts, Josh, on 2024? On the band known as 2024?
the band 2024.
Yeah. Terrible band name. Somebody out there is going to call their band, if they haven't already, 2020.
Probably.
Probably so. All of our albums are about COVID and our experiences through COVID.
Gross. Nobody's gonna
Boom.
listen to that.
Yeah, no. Well, alrighty, Josh, let's get on out of here. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, but other shows as well. We have the History of the Cores After Hours podcast, where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener of this very podcast, Eric, and we talk about some of the bands me and Josh have already discussed. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons of the BBC/Netflix hit show, The Peaky Blinders, and there will be a movie very soon. Josh,
Ooh,
production has wrapped up. It is time for editing now. And Josh, we're going to have a brand new episode of the Red Right Hand podcast to start out 2025, giving us updates, taking a look at the cast list, talking about some of the production work, so on and so forth. I think we talked about in the last episode when we got to this point in that episode that sounds like they've got a name for the movie, The Immortal Man. Interesting. So I don't know. I was kind of wondering if that was more of just like a working title, but I don't know. We'll find out. So hopefully we'll get like an actual release date here soon with production wrapped up and everything. So we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which has covered season 1, season 2, eventually season 3, and season 4 of HBO's House of the Dragon. And next summer, 2025, we'll have season 1 of HBO's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. But before that, we'll have a read through of what's it called? I forget. I just went totally blank.
Also, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
It's A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I always,
the Hedge Knight, the Mystery Knight, and the Sworn Sword.
But before that, Josh, and before 2024 is totally gone, we're going to have a brand new episode of the Throne of the Dragon podcast doing another character profile. Who's our character this time, Josh?
Edmure Tully.
What an idiot. Or is he?
Well, the show portrays him to be more of a
we don't know. Well, we don't know, Josh. Debatable.
The show might as well have put a dunce hat on him, Curtis.
You're just going to have to come back and learn all about him. Josh will guide us through that. Yeah. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua and Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And most importantly, if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions. That'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video. And hey, by the way, if you listen to us on Spotify, you'll be getting video podcasts on there this next year. Whoa! Look out, man! So we're gonna be on video podcast.
You don't even have to go to the YouTube anymore.
Whoa!
Dude,
but if you do,
still
you can.
Go to the YouTube. Still go to the YouTube.
Alrighty, Josh. Until 2025, when we take a look at the band known as Arsonist. Get all them girls. We'll see ya.